All right, welcome to the first installment of Distance Learning Shop Class. So today what we're going to get started on doing is we're going to build some cornhole boards. So the first thing I want to do is I want to rip down these 2x4s I have sitting here on this table. The reason we're ripping those down is we want to make a nice square edge on all sides, so that way when we glue the tops down to the 2x4s, they're going to be nice and square, and it's going to give us a nice good seal when we put our glue on. So I've already gone through and I've already gotten our table saw set to the appropriate length. So what it's set at now is 3 1/4. When we go through the second rip, we're going to set it at 3 inches, so that all of our 2x4s are going to be at 3 inches. So as I'm going through, I've got my push stick here to make sure that I'm not going to get my fingers too close to that blade. So this will just add a little bit of safety. I've got my safety glasses on. I've got a little catch table set up so that as these drop, because I'm working by myself, I'm not going to run into any issues there. Let's get started. One down, 18 to go, and I'll catch back up with you in a bit. And that is our last rip on this side. So what we're going to do is I'm going to flip this table back around. I'll probably move you guys so you can still see that blade, and we will come back through and rip it all again at 3 inches. 2x4s ripped down to 3 inches tall and 1.5 inches wide. Now we're getting ready to start cutting out our pieces. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure we have our cut list made it nice and big for you all to see here. So we need our long sides cut at 48 inches, our short sides are going to be at 21 inches. Our cross beams, if we decide to use them, are going to be at 21 inches long as well. And then our legs are going to look just like this. 12 inches, 9/16 at the top, 11 and 1/16 long at the bottom, and we should have a 27-degree angle on that leg. Then we'll go ahead and radius off the top of those so they rotate nice and easy within a cornhole board. So we'll get started cutting these now. I'm going to take a little bit of time and figure out the best way to cut these boards so I can get the maximum amount out of it with the least amount of waste. At the drill press, what I've done is I've gone through and measured out where our stops need to be so that as we go through, because we have 16 of these legs to do, all we have to do is butt it up against both sides, and that is going to center our 3/8 hole with a 3/8 spade bit. It's going to center that hole at 1.5 inches in and 1.5 inches down from the corner of our pieces. That's the reason we have not gone through and radiused out these edges yet. So what I'll do is I'll get the camera moved over and then we will get started drilling these holes.
So now we move into drilling the 3/8 hole in our long side boards. Those are the 48-inch boards that will run the full length of the cornhole board. We're going to drill this hole at 3 9/16 from the end. We're going to use a very similar process to the way we drilled the holes in our legs for this.
With all of our boards cut and roughly sanded, holes drilled, now the next step in the process is going to be to mark out our pre-drill holes, so that way we can make sure that all of our pre-drill holes and also our screws are going to be nice and even throughout all the boards. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a nice sharp pencil or a nice sharp carpenter pencil, as well as a combination square to lay these marks out. The easiest way to make sure that you've got this set to 3/4 of an inch is what we're going to be doing today, is to take your board, flip it up on end, because we note that this is 1.5 inches wide. Place it on one side and draw a mark. And then come to the other side and draw another mark. What you can see here is that those marks just stacked right on top of each other, which means that my combination square is set perfectly at 3/4 of an inch. So that way when I do all of my pre-drills, those screws are going to go into the next board perfectly in the center, which should help splitting on the other board, as well as the pre-drilling will help the splitting on our long boards. So what we'll do is put our combination square on the very end of the board first and draw a line all the way down. Then we'll come to one side, draw a mark, and repeat that process on the other side. So now I know that all of my holes and all of my screws are going to sit 3/4 of an inch from the edge on both sides and 3/4 of an inch from the end of the board, making sure that it goes as in the middle of that board as possible with 2 screws. This is going to provide us great stability as well as look really nice and professional in the end. It's a time-consuming process, but it definitely makes a huge difference in the end project when all of those screws line up nice and even. So what we'll do is we'll move the camera, get it set up, and knock out the rest of these marks.